What is up, everybody? Welcome to NFTs in the Arena with your hosts, Mike and John. Uh, we've got quite a bit to talk about today, but one of the first things I wanted to get into is please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. We are growing. We're getting quite a lot of views, which is very interesting and I think rewarding for the fruits of our labor, John.
Awesome, man. What's happening,
Yeah,
everybody?
So what I wanted to speak about is something that I was actually reading up on the last few days, and I think a lot of people that are well aware or in this Web3 space, or I suppose or anywhere on social media, will be aware that Snoop Dogg is an individual that's openly and quite confidently put his name on the line for a lot of projects, not only in the NFT space but the metaverse more so. And for those of you that don't know, Snoop Dogg owns the Bored Ape, and he's part of these metaverse communities where he's purchased land, where they obviously envision this land to be of significant value in the future, which is obviously up for debate and something that we can even get into ourselves. One of the things that I find interesting, I think is worth talking about today is Snoop Dogg, if you don't know, owns Death Row Records. And I think he actually bought full ownership or majority share or stake in the business last year. And I think it's starting to actually come out now as to why he did it. Not only because of the nostalgia behind the brand and the history of Snoop Dogg and all the artists that actually performed under that label, was his vision now, from based on what I'm reading, is the idea of essentially taking or understanding his plans to incorporate NFTs and other technologies into Death Row Records. And one of the things he spoke about was actually taking like a classic record which he made. I think he referred to it as like, I can't remember the song's name, but essentially taking a song that was very big on album and actually creating an NFT for it. And he's essentially saying is that now the people that are buying these NFTs in order to listen to his old music or even new music going forward have the right to buy it, own it, and also trade it to make money off it. He said he wants people to make money off his music, which is unheard of, particularly in this industry. And there's other things I'd like to bring in with regards to royalties and how artists are often really effed when it comes to releasing music, and the the distribution of wealth is actually not as equal as many may believe. So in saying that, John, like I see why he would want to do something like this. And he actually referred to, and if you think about it, is all those CDs you bought back in the day, you don't have now. They're of no value. You bought them, the value's diminished. But if you buy an NFT, you effectively own that, which you would as a CD. But now you have utility behind it, and where the utility behind Snoop Dogg, the brand, is obviously going to grow continuously as he gets older, and more so to where he will eventually die one day, and naturally the value of everything around him will increase, like we saw with Michael Jackson and other artists alike, even Avicii. So in saying that, like, I believe this is something probably incredibly interesting that I would actually like to delve into a bit more. But like, what are your thoughts around the NFTs in maybe the recording space or any other artistry space or entertainment space?
Well, what's up? How's it, everybody? I think that it's a great move for industry and for the creatives and artists alike, purely because of what you said, to be able to distribute and create equality among all for those who actually produce and create this artistry. So it makes sense, and especially for the fans, that this legacy can live on long after this person has gone, for instance. And I do think for the creator themselves to ultimately extinguish the middleman, which is usually these big corporations, which inherently take a lot of the cuts. And yes, these artists are generally very well off, but most of them, a large population of them, aren't. And who's to say their work isn't just as good, or if not better? And this is an opportunity to distribute creative arts and music in a way that's beneficial for all, and also creating sustainability from a financial perspective in the long run. So yeah, I think there's a lot of opportunity for this, and people can do it in their own way. They don't require large companies or distributors to actually execute on this. People can do it as individuals, and this allows the person to be a lot more autonomous in their approach to market, and I think it's great. It's a great opportunity.
Yeah, I think so too, dude, because I think this is where the industry is headed. Where I think for as long as I can remember is that when you're buying music, whether it was CDs, even on iTunes or on Spotify, when you had to pay for everything, now you're paying subscriptions, of course,
Yeah,
is that people were buying these things, not only the albums and the songs, but also the memorabilia and so on from these artists when they're attending their concerts. They're buying a ticket to the concert, but they have nothing to show for it afterwards.
yes,
Some photos, right?
yes,
And
exactly.
that was obviously the way the world worked at that time. But like what he was saying, and it totally makes sense because this can be applied to any other facet like sports and museums and the likes. I think you can go wild with this. But like he spoke about, and I think this is really where the world is moving. And we've spoken about this on previous shows, the tribalism, the community that's being created. And what I see is that artists can now have the ability to give back to their fans and their audiences by allowing them to purchase their NFT. Yes, again, gains them subsequent access to an event or to an exclusive party, whatever that may be. But now they hold something that effectively isn't tangible, but it has inherent value. And I think that's the way so many industries will be moving. And I think you're right. It's going to take out the middleman. And you've
Yeah,
seen a lot of artists like Kid Cudi, Ed Sheeran, all of them eventually creating their own record labels.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Essentially now taking the responsibility into their own hands for the success of their career. And I think the
100%.
utilization of NFTs will be a good method or mode in which people can actually leverage to further expand, particularly the guys that have no careers just yet, guys that
Yeah,
are
yeah,
just new
yeah.
on the scene.
100%.
Yeah.
And this is a great opportunity for people in white label positions to be able to onboard, let's call them micro artists, for lack of a better term. Same way we look at micro influencers, like small artists out there that are one brilliant. All they need is the awareness. So ultimately, those are perhaps, if you want to look at a way of doing what Simon Cowell does, is finding potential through his mechanism, be it their talent show. Now there's an opportunity to look through TikTok. There's an opportunity to look through Instagram for this talent merely by searching hashtags or perhaps by word of mouth, and finding these artists and approaching them and bringing their music and their repertoire onto the blockchain, and then moving that way, which kind of like moves from the bottom up kind of method, rather than trying to find the main guys, because the main guys are already doing it in their own way because they got the money to. And I think there's just now an opportunity for anyone in crypto, even from an investor's point of view, is to get in now early and build therefrom.
Do you? I mean, like, I like the idea of or the metaphor you used when it came to like micro influences.
Mm.
I think I just naturally sway towards the sports arena by virtue of my main interest. Is that like today, for example, if you think about it, I mean, this I might be just be talking complete shit to be
Yeah.
honest, but let's have that conversation where Manchester City bought Erling Haaland, right?
Okay.
Incredible player, has a great future ahead of him, contracts mad money, tens of millions.
Yes.
But I was thinking now, like a lot of football teams, in particular ones that have a huge following, but they're just not doing well due to poor management, maladministration, and so on. There's many clubs like that. There was Newcastle that
Yes.
obviously
Yes.
got birthed by the
Leeds.
Saudis eventually. Leeds, big clubs that were
Yeah.
massive fan bases, where now the fans have lost a stronghold on the club. A prime example is Manchester United, right? The
Yo.
fans have one of the biggest fan bases in the world, and we just don't have control over the club in which we support.
Mm.
So I do think this is also going to become a thing where you eventually get sports teams becoming completely decentralized, creating DAOs for teams, right?
Efforts.
And
Yes.
I think why I bring this up is because if you can create a community of fans that are purchasing NFTs where the revenue generation from those NFTs goes towards purchasing a club, right? Buying your
Yes.
club back, right?
Yes.
That is a
Yes.
way of
Yes.
doing something like
That's
that. Where
interesting.
now all those initial people putting the money into the NFTs will own some equity in Manchester United, for example. And now you will have the ability to have a say if you want to buy a certain player, right? Now it's a general community consensus. And I think that might be a good way to look at how the decentralization, these DAOs can be applied to industries outside a typical business organization.
I think that's absolutely amazing, and that doesn't even need to happen internally. Someone can decide to create a token or coin, and its white paper can literally just allude to that. We are going to buy back Manchester United, and that coin can skyrocket, dude. And that whole community can actually buy the club, and it could be literally the whole. Perhaps if not, look, there's obviously a large population of Man United supporters that are probably not into crypto, but this could be definitely an onboard mechanism. But at the same time, I think everyone that is in crypto that's a Man United supporter by heart will be putting money into that just for the cause of trying to see how a community can actually execute on something that big. Because I believe Elon Musk is proving that. I believe he's got that kind of liquidity because of his moves in crypto. Who's to know, like if you're buying $1 billion worth of Bitcoin, that's mad gains if you're going up 15-20% and you're trading. So you don't know who he has on his team. So this is the thing, like this is giving a guy like that so much potential at that 44 billion to just give
Mad
away.
money, dude.
It's mad money, dude. It's
mad money, dude.
that shit on the balance sheets is hectic, and you can only do that if you're a big boy in some space. And I think crypto is that space right now. It's just difficult to see how you got it right, and it's just speculation. But I think that this ties into what we were saying now, like quite substantially, actually. It's very interesting.
Do you like this whole idea of this inequality gap getting bigger and bigger? I think we touched on it previously, and I think a lot of people's mission statements, vision statements for these NFT collections or these DAOs or whatever it may be that's in this Web 3.0, they're all trying to create this narrative or this perception that the whole idea of NFTs, decentralized networks, blockchains to distribute the wealth now, right? And if you ask me, I think that's up for debate because you just see guys. Yes, you see guys that had nothing getting incredibly rich, right?
Yes,
But no one's telling the story of the guys that lost the big money. It's the same when your friend goes to a casino. Yeah, man, I made 50 grand, but how much did you lose in order to accumulate that wealth?
Yes,
and I think the same is applied in real life, but people aren't thinking about it that way. Social media, again, will give you that illusion that a guy that's got an NFT company or a guy that's created some form of virtual reality device or product is now in line to become the next billionaire.
Yeah.
In some ways, yes, but right now everyone is in this space, everyone is competing, and there is this talk of this potential collapse, this imminent downfall, not only of NFTs, crypto. So basically, we know that we're on the cyclical path going up. I mean, only historical data can tell us otherwise, and I mean, I truly believe that. So I do believe that the initial intent of these DAOs of crypto, of blockchain, it was intended for good reasoning. But I do feel like by the very nature of humans, it's innate in us to be greedy and to try and make money for ourselves. And it's quite clearly happening where these small select groups of individuals, like these Bored Ape guys, are overinflating the price of a digital collectible in order to grow the community wealth. And some may argue that's fine, that's not, but I'm saying that's up for debate. Is it fair? Is it not fair? Is this why they're trying to regulate it? I don't know.
Yeah, look, I think it's perhaps a similar model you'd find in business where you get people that make it and they just hold it to themselves. And as you mentioned, it's innate in human beings to be that humble. And I think as that shifts into this space, finding wealth and affluence through crypto can be a similar mechanism in terms of how you deal with it psychologically. So yes, you are going to get those groups where they're going to be all about financials and let's get rich and drive Ferraris and that kind of thing. And then you're going to get people on the other end, like CZ from Binance. Like if you really go into his story, it's actually quite humbling. How he got into it, selling his apartments, investing into Bitcoin, and losing 70% of it during its dip, and then building Binance, and now I think he's worth about 60 billion. And that just shows you. And
so what is the lesson? What is the lesson from that, dude? Like, what is your lesson, or what is your takeaway from that? Because I mean, that's a rags to riches story.
Yeah. Clearly. And for him, he wants to donate all of it to charity when he passes. He wears a Binance T-shirt to work. Doesn't give a shit about Gucci and that kind of stuff. And you can just see, like, when you listen to him speak, he's one of those guys, much like Jack Ma from Alibaba. And this is what I like about the Eastern philosophy or worldview, is that generally it's about being humane and being a person that's going to bring value rather than trying to retain value for oneself. And this is an opportunity for people that are virtuous to build in this space, much like Charles Hoskinson, which is with ADA. And I believe if that were to be prevalent throughout the globe, there will be this opportunity to create this equal, or should I say, an equal opportunity financially, at least at a subpar level. You know, I don't know what the mechanisms are now, but I do believe in the future there will be an opportunity for everyone to retain some form of currency, whatever it may be, through NFTs. That will give them an opportunity to sustain a certain type of life. And if you want to go beyond that, it's up to you to do that. But I do think everyone will need to have a subpar standard of livelihood and then move thereafter. If you want to become a very affluent, rich person, you have the opportunity to do that in different sectors in industry. But I don't think it's fair for someone to be starving on the other end of the world or even down the road, and there's people that are balling, and it's just because of this unfortunate nature of how the system works right now.
Yeah, dude, it's interesting. So this is something we can get into, and I can play the devil's advocate, or I always just love to give opposing opinions. So again, going back to this whole idea and this concept where it's decentralizing wealth, it's taking money out of the corporates like the banks and so on. We all know about that. But we've spoken about this inequality and disparity gap. And obviously us growing up in South Africa and now me living in the United States, seeing how life is here, the wealth gap here in a first world country, what's deemed as a first world country, is growing. And it's not as obvious because it's not happening at an exponential rate like we've seen in countries like South Africa or most Central African countries. And my point is that I think people are saying, yeah, let's get into Bitcoin, let's get into NFTs, we're taking the wealth out of the banking system, but the regulations are coming, right?
Yeah.
You can really be taxed on your crypto and so on. But my point is that everyone's thinking that this is the best, this is the new way, this is the better way to live, this is the better way to transact with people. But we also know the adverse effects it's having on the environment currently. And I do feel like, yes, there's a lot of talk of how they're reducing the likelihood of this negative impact going future with future innovations. But I was watching a video of Elon Musk, and he was saying, like, everyone thinks that the world is exponentially growing in technology wise, right? Technologically, we are growing significantly in the last, if you compare the last 5 to 10 years, right? But like the guy that was interviewing was essentially saying that it's like, where do you see the world like in the next few years or whatever it is? and he kind of dampen the idea that we're on this incredible trajectory where almost society thinks we're going up in this way as opposed to this linear way that's going up and down. And like he said, in 1969, I think, obviously they sent the first humans into space, into the moon and so on, the space race. And then for a long time they were doing the space shuttles, and then due to a lot of the ineffectiveness, the fatalities that incurred and so on, they cancelled the space program. And for a large chunk of the 80s, 90s, 2000s, up until now, like 10 years ago, when he actually started making this more commercialized, my point is like it kind of plateaued, the innovation, right? And he's saying that people are under this illusion that now technology is just going to increase this way. And yes, we can think that way. But he's saying you always have to use traditional history to understand the more so the uptake from humans as opposed to the advent of innovation. Because I do think maybe in the next year, where there is this loom of a recession coming along and so on, a lot less investment happens in startups. So that stifles some form of economic growth. But then again, my question to you is now with the advent of NFTs, where people can contribute to a startup by purchasing an NFT, for example. Now they're buying equity. Will that now allow for innovation to stay on that same trajectory in which people envision?
Well, look, this whole space is predicated on investment right now. A lot of people require the devs to be putting in the time, and those people don't come cheap. So right now, if people want to advance, or companies in the NFT space want to advance and actually build to provide a great service when the timing is right, when everything is fluid, and we now fully into Web3, people want to be prepared for that. You don't want to start building then. So I think there's a lot of guys and girls out there that are busy typing, whacking it, bro. Because that's where the technology is. That's where the innovation is now in the MacBook. It's in the DAO. Someone sitting in the room can create something substantially profound that can make an impact in society just from a laptop now. You don't need to go and rent out a factory and start up a whole shop. Right now, technology is at our fingertips. We got ideas coming out of our ears and mouths like crazy. We literally just need to execute on either of them and be consistent, and something will work of it. Right? And this is where right now financing and people giving other companies and NFT creators opportunity to keep building and keep pushing their vision will require funding. And if there is a downtrend in terms of people investing in startups because of this looming recession, then you may find a bit of, should I say, backlog in the investment in crypto. I would assume just there's a natural tendency for it to correlate right now. You see the markets are down in stocks. You're seeing it's down right now in crypto. And we can't say it will always be that way forever. But right now, much like Ethereum follows Bitcoin in much the same manner, the stocks and crypto, they follow each other in much the same manner. So we can't assume that, oh yeah, now there's going to be extra money that's coming into NFTs and blockchain creators next year, because there might not be. But this is not going to stop people from creating. There's still going to be people that are going to sell their homes like CZ did, do crazy things for their vision. So I still think there's going to be quite a substantial growth in this sector, just because of the awareness. There's people that are devs that don't even know about some things right now, and they're only finding about it now, and they're jumping on board. So I think there's a lot of opportunity, especially with Snoop Dogg's and guys like that bringing it to market. Bro, you know, it's like it's I see it really shooting through the roof, and
me too.
And I think people don't have the ability to actually keep up with that rate of growth psychologically, and that's where the real problem lies right now, is to educate people at the same rate of growth.
Yeah, and one thing I would add before we end off is that I remember specifically in 2017, which is significantly late in this crypto game. But
Yeah.
to most people now that we
Yeah.
know, it was significantly early if you think about it.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I remember
Yeah.
investing in Bitcoin and Ethereum, and this was when I was still living in South Africa. And it was like August, September time, probably August, where I bought. And then just before the 2018, it dipped in December. For whatever reason, I took the money out. So if you, it's an age old thing. If I left it in there, where would I be now? But I don't think about that. My point is like, at that time, I trusted my intuition to pull out, and it was the right decision. And I often feel like we as humans forget that we should need to trust our intuition. We're always told we
Yes.
should, we all believe we should, but none of us do that. So the reason why I bring that up is right now, everyone is looking at crypto and NFTs with no clear direction. No one knows what this is. No one knows the true future of this. My point is like you and I are having a discussion. People that are listening to us have the same beliefs we do. This is why we're recording this podcast, is to share our knowledge and the way we view this all. So to end off, my thing would be is we got to trust our intuition, man. And
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
you and I
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
always
I love
said,
that.
it's the long haul, man. It's the long haul,
Yes.
and
Yes.
maybe in a year from now, or episode 200, whatever we'll be on at that time, we'll be having significantly different conversations, maybe with cooler backgrounds, right? And you know what I'm alluding to
Yeah.
by
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But in say that, Jono, any closing remarks before we let go?
Trust your intuition, bro.
Yeah, trust your intuition. All right, everybody, like, share, and subscribe, and look out for the next episode. Take care, guys.
Peace.